You are talking to your dog. Maybe you said a word they recognize. Maybe you asked a question in that particular voice you use with them, and they did it. That slow, deliberate tilt. One ear dropping, eyes fixed on your face. The whole head cocked to the side like they are trying to decode something important. You probably smiled. You probably said something like, "You're so cute." You may have said it twice. Here is what you did not know. That moment you just witnessed is not just adorable. It is a window into something researchers have only recently begun to understand. Something that connects your dog's anatomy, their brain, and the depth of their attention to you in ways that nobody expected. And one of the findings is so counterintuitive that scientists who study animal cognition were genuinely surprised by it. By the end of this video, you will never watch a head tilt the same way again. Let's get into it. 1. The explanation everyone knows, and why it is only part of the story. Ask most people why dogs tilt their heads, and you will get one of two answers. The first is that they are trying to hear better. The second is that they just know it gets a reaction. Both of those things are true, but they are only two layers of something that goes much deeper. Let's start with the hearing piece because the anatomy here is genuinely interesting. A dog's ear is not like a human ear. The outer ear, the pinna, is mobile in most breeds. Dogs can rotate and adjust it independently to help capture sound waves. And when a sound arrives from directly in front of them, the position of the ear flaps can actually interfere with their ability to pinpoint exactly where it is coming from. Tilting the head repositions the ears asymmetrically. One ear moves slightly forward and down, the other shifts back and up. Now each ear is receiving the same sound at a fractionally different moment. The brain measures the difference between those two arrival times and uses it to triangulate the source. The muscles that control a dog's middle ear, the ones involved in this fine-tuned auditory adjustment, are controlled by the same region of the brain that governs facial expressions and head movements, which is why the tilt and the listening and the attentive expression all happen together as one integrated behavior. It is not a pose, it is a system. The VCA animal hospitals summarize this clearly in their behavioral guidance. When a dog tilts their head to the side, the repositioning of the pinna helps the brain assess the location and distance of sound with greater precision. The ears and the head movement are working as a single coordinated tool. So far, this explains why dogs tilt their heads toward interesting sounds in general. But it does not explain why they do it specifically when you talk. And it does not explain the finding that changed what researchers thought they knew about this behavior. 2. What a dog's muzzle has to do with your face. Subscribe now, because this next layer is the one most people have never heard. In 2013, Stanley Coren, professor of psychology at the University of British Columbia and one of the most cited researchers in canine cognition, proposed a different hypothesis entirely. His argument was this: dogs are exceptionally skilled at reading human facial expressions. Decades of research have confirmed that dogs track the human face with a precision that is unusual even among highly social animals. They read the position of your mouth. They read the tension around your eyes. They read the subtle muscular shifts that signal emotion before you have said a single word. But most dogs have a muzzle, a physical object that protrudes directly into their lower field of vision when they look straight at your face. For a dog with a long snout like a greyhound, a Labrador, or a German Shepherd, a significant portion of their owner's face is blocked by their own nose every time they try to make direct eye contact. Coren's hypothesis was simple. The head tilt is not primarily about sound, it is about vision. By tilting the head to one side, the muzzle shifts out of the central visual field. The lower half of the human face, the mouth, the chin, the most expressive region, comes into clear view. To test this, Coren surveyed 582 dog owners, asking about the shape of their dog's face and how often their dog tilted its head when spoken to. The results supported his hypothesis. 71% of owners of dogs with longer muzzles reported that their dogs tilted their heads frequently. Among owners of flat-faced breeds like pugs and bulldogs, whose short snouts do not obstruct their vision to the same degree, only 52% reported frequent head tilting. The difference is statistically significant, and it points to something remarkable. Your dog may be tilting their head, at least in part, to see your mouth more clearly, to read the expression on the lower half of your face, to gather the visual information that their own anatomy is blocking. They are not just listening to you, they are working around a physical limitation in order to see you better. Think about what that means for a moment. Your dog has developed a behavioral adaptation specifically to improve their ability to read your face. 3. The finding that surprised the scientists themselves. In 2021, a team of researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest published a study in the journal Animal Cognition that was not originally designed to study head tilting at all. They were studying something else entirely. They were investigating a small group of what they called gifted word learner dogs. These are dogs who have learned to reliably associate specific verbal labels with specific objects. Most dogs, regardless of training, cannot consistently link a spoken word to a particular toy, but a rare subset can. The study Enki looted 7 such gifted dogs and 33 typical dogs as a comparison group. During the tests, owners would say the name of a toy and ask the dog to retrieve it. The researchers were recording everything, and they noticed something unexpected. Every time a gifted dog heard a word they had learned, they tilted their head, every single time. The typical dogs, who had not learned the word-object associations, tilted their heads in only 2% of trials. The gifted dogs tilted in 43% of trials. That gap, 2% versus 43%, stopped the research team. Lead researcher Andrea Somays, an ethologist at Eötvös Loránd University, said in interviews that the pattern was too consistent to ignore. The team went back through all their footage specifically to study the tilts, and what they found deepened the puzzle. The gifted dogs tilted their heads in the same direction regardless of where their owner was standing. Left tilters always tilted left, right tilters always tilted right. The direction was stable across 24 months of testing. This eliminated the sound localization explanation entirely. If the tilt were about hearing, the direction would shift depending on where the sound was coming from. It did not. Somays' interpretation, published in the study, was that the head tilt in these dogs was linked to memory retrieval. When the dog heard a familiar word, their brain began the process of matching that word to a stored visual image of the object. The tilt appeared to be a physical correlate of that mental effort, a sign that the brain was doing something specific, something that required focus. Probably it's the same for dogs as for humans, Somays told Scientific American. When you remember a story or something, you tilt your head to the side and you have this mental image of something in your mind. The head tilt, in other words, may be visible thinking. 4. What you are actually doing when you respond to it. There is a 4th layer to this behavior, and this one involves you more directly than any of the others. Jill Goldman, a certified applied animal behaviorist based in Los Angeles, has pointed out in interviews for the American Kennel Club that even if the head tilt begins as a spontaneous response to sound or visual challenge or cognitive effort, it does not stay spontaneous for long. Dogs repeat behaviors that produce rewarding outcomes. This is operant conditioning at its most basic and most reliable. And when a dog tilts their head and a human's face changes, voice lifts, hands reach out to pet, a sound of delight appears in the room, the dog's brain registers that sequence. The tilt produced something good. Do it again. Goldman's assessment, shared with the AKC, was direct. I think it might happen more often in certain dogs than others because it's reinforced. I believe it is usually followed by a positive event. This does not make the tilt fake, it makes it layered. A behavior that begins as a genuine sensory and cognitive response becomes, over time, also a communication strategy. Your dog learns that this particular body position, this particular angle of the head, reaches something in you. It creates warmth, it creates connection, it makes you more generous, more attentive, more present. Your dog figured out how to use their own natural behavior to deepen the interaction between you, without training, without being taught. Just by watching what your face does when they tilt their head, and doing it again. 5. What it tells you about this specific dog, here is the piece that most people never consider. Not all dogs tilt their heads equally, and the differences between dogs who tilt frequently and dogs who rarely do reveal something about what is happening in the relationship. Dogs who are more social, engaged with their owners, tilt their heads more often. This has been observed consistently across behavioral research. Social dogs who seek human interaction and respond to it show this behavior at higher rates. Dogs who have learned more words, who have deeper associations between the sounds their owner makes and meaningful outcomes in their world, show the behavior more frequently in response to speech. Dogs with longer muzzles tilt more than flat-faced breeds, which points to the visual component. And dogs who are in environments where the tilt has been consistently rewarded show it more reliably because their learning history has reinforced it. What this means for your specific dog is this. When your dog tilts their head when you talk, all of those layers are potentially present simultaneously. They may be adjusting their ears for sound. They may be clearing their muzzle for a better view of your face. They may be retrieving a mental image of something your words predict. They may be doing something that has, over the course of your relationship, become a way of reaching toward you. Every time they do it, something in their brain is working, something in their body is orienting, something in their attention is narrowing specifically down to you. Not to the room, not to the environment, to you. The next time your dog tilts their head while you talk, you will see it differently now. You will see the ears repositioning for precision. You will see the muzzle shift out of the way so their eyes can find your face. You will see, if they are a dog who knows your words, the moment their brain reaches for a memory attached to what you just said. And you will see a dog who has spent months or years learning that this particular angle, this particular position, makes you look at them in a way that feels like everything. That tilt is not random, it is not just cute. It is attention made visible, effort made physical, a brain working hard to understand the person it loves most. And if you tilt back, which many people do without thinking, you are doing something that every researcher on this subject would recognize. You are answering. If this changed the way you see your dog, share it with someone who loves theirs. We are here every week going deeper into the science and the meaning behind the behaviors your dog shows you every single day. They deserve to be understood, and so do you.